What is up, guys? In today's video we're going to be spectating random players in Fortnite Zero Build. As always, if you guys do find this video helpful or informative, remember to give a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below what you think of the Star Wars update, because we've had it out for a few days now and this is the first one of these videos I've made since the Star Wars update has been out. So we'll see if the player we end up spectating ends up using any of the Star Wars abilities and maybe even like playing against them. Overall, it is not my cup of tea. I'm never really a fan of that sort of thing, but I do like how they've kind of been doing the mid-season updates so far in Chapter 4. Last season we had the Most Wanted update, which was like a pretty significant mid-season update, and this season we have the Star Wars update, and both of which brought a lot of content to the game, you know, kind of in the back half of the season, as well as kind of a whole new like battle pass to like grind and unlock for people who are into that sort of thing. So while this Star Wars update isn't my personal favorite, I really like the way the mid-season updates have been so far in Chapter 4. And I really hope they keep this kind of like as the standard going forward. If they do, I think that it's like pretty insane, because I feel like the kind of momentum that seasons would have would kind of be one of the bigger downsides of Fortnite most of the time, when just like you would get towards the end of the season and you would just be waiting for it to end. Let's go. We actually got 100th place. I was the first player in the lobby to die. I don't know if I've ever gotten that before. But we're going to be on board with Anonymous 279. They killed me rather quick. And they do have this style for High Wire, I think is the name of this skin, which is one of the styles that you have to grind for. So they've clearly played a lot this season. And I do like landing Brutal. It's probably my favorite place to land so far this season. Not only is there mythic like POI here, so you get like the mythic pump and you get the slurp juice, but also there's a lot of mobility here with the launch pads. Oh no, this player might just be out of the game. They got this. They have kind of like awkward close range fighting loot though. They don't have a shotgun yet. They just have an SMG and a pistol, which can certainly get the job done, but if this other player has a shotgun, then it can be rough for them to get the kill. The player that beamed them dropped low. Interesting. Like I said, he doesn't have a shotgun. Okay, he should have this kill. Nice. Oof, that got sketchy there, but this player seems decent so far. So far this player seems like they know what they're doing. It just would have gotten dicey if that Spider-Man, imagine if they had like a mythic, if they picked up that, or not, sorry, mythic, a Maven. Imagine if they picked up that white Maven there, and then they had that same fight versus this High Wire. I think this High Wire would have got eliminated. But like I was saying before, I really like Brutal this season, not only for the mythic pump and the slurp juice, but also the mobility. There's pads out of here, so you can kind of pad from here to here. And then from there is another pad, and you can kind of get more towards the center of the map. And that's kind of been my favorite way to play so far this season, is just kind of clear Brutal, loot it, eliminate the boss, get the vault, and then kind of pad out of there and get like more towards the middle of the map. Here's the other player here. He didn't pick up that Maven for whatever reason. That's kind of surprising to me. Like, obviously the white Maven isn't the best shotgun in the game by any means, but I think most players would agree it's significantly better than no shotgun. He's like very concerned about this loot here. I feel like you needed to just get the shotgun and get the fish and then kind of back up. Get what you want after that. Okay, it's an AI. But like, imagine if this other player here had been a real player, and then they kind of walk up these stairs when that other player is like kind of messing around with the loot. I personally would have just grabbed the shotgun and the fish and then backed up away from the loot, healed, and then tried to see if that third party was going to do anything. But it turned out to not be an AI, so it doesn't really matter. There also is a lot of heals here with all the coolers. I like landing at the building I landed at this game. There's multiple coolers in there, and then if you have like an AR and you're on this mid building, you can kind of like get tags on the rest of the POI, get tags on the people launch padding, and then just kind of like look to third party the other like parts of the POI. This POI has definitely grown on me over the course of Chapter 4. I really did not like it at all at the start, and I still don't really like it for build mode, but for zero build it's quite good. Nice mobility. That is one of the few unfortunate things about this POI, is I don't think there's any Attack on Titan crate spawns or any katana spawns guaranteed. Like, there's not the sword racks or the boxes, but there is just a lot of loot here, so you'll usually be able to find one. And then even if you don't, like, from looting the POI and looting the vault, you'll usually have a key or two. And then there's hollow chests here, there's hollow chests here, there's hollow chests here, there's hollow chests here, there's hollow chests here. So if I ever somehow don't get mobility out of that here, that's kind of my path, is I try to hit up those hollow chests. You should have augments by then as well, so if you weren't able to find keys, you can maybe get Keymaster and get keys that way. But even though there isn't guaranteed spawns for mobility here, I rarely have a hard time getting it. What I like to do, though, instead of looting all this stuff that this player has been doing, I like to stay up top. It's not the biggest deal, but if you're on top of, like, the building I landed at or the other building that's tall in the center, you can kind of be ready for other, like, third-party players coming in, because oftentimes you will have people coming from other areas to loot this vault, whether that's, like, Slappy, Lonely, Anvil. Like, a lot of these areas are going to kind of rotate to Brutal for the vault. Does have a sniper, so you can eliminate the boss rather quickly. Grenades also eliminate the boss really fast. This is actually a decent play. I like this. If you're ever, like, kind of gonna pass through this area anyways, before you eliminate the boss, you might as well just check under there. Because if they're, like, a lot of people will camp the vault even before you eliminate the boss. And you can kind of, sometimes I feel like catch some of those vault campers off guard if you check it before you even end up getting the key card. I think I might have heard somebody else, but it's hard to say because there's so much audio going on over there. This is sketchy. I don't like this at all. So what he did was he dropped the pump for the key card. And the thought process there was probably that, I mean, he's going to get the mythic pump anyways. So why would you need your shotgun? But imagine that a player did creep into the vault as he was doing that. I feel like the heavy sniper or even the heals is way more expendable in that situation. Because you can make the same argument with heals. Like, you're going to drop these big pots for the slurp most likely, right? But not having a shotgun in a moment can catch you, like, can just, like, ruin your game. Whereas he's probably not going to be able to get the big pots off in that situation anyways, you know? So this is an interesting loadout. This isn't what I would personally use. I'd rather have the red eye than the sniper, but the heavy sniper can be very good. Like, oh, he's going to go away from it. But what I was going to say is the heavy sniper can be good depending on, like, the player using it, obviously. But I feel like the heavy sniper is not nearly as good at shooting people out of the sky. It's not nearly as good at shooting people using the ODM gear. It's not nearly as good at shooting people katanaing, people kind of double jumping around with the lightsaber. And I feel like those are kind of like the mid to long range fights you get in this game this season. Especially if you are someone that wants to go for island. Not having the red eye is not ideal, but he ends up going for the red eye anyways. I don't think having the sniper instead of an AR is terrible, but I feel like you have to be very good with the sniper to really justify that. Whereas even a below average player, I feel like, can get a decent amount of value out of the red eye over the course of the game. And the pulse is very good for dealing with lightsaber players. I'm not really sure the blocking ability. If you shoot at them, it does eventually get knocked out. Like, there's like a cooldown to it essentially, or like a point where you break it. I'm not sure if it's fire rate or damage though, but from what I found, I think it's damage. The pulse rifle works really good for that, especially if they're like kind of, you know, 10 to 15 meters away from you, just kind of holding the block. The ADS version of the pulse will break it in like 2 or 3 shots. And then you just, like, are hitting them with, like, a ridiculous amount of damage because, obviously, the ADS version of the Pulse does very good. And then even the hipfire version of the Pulse is nice for breaking the block of those players and just dealing with them because it has a little bit better range than the SMGs. So you can kind of keep your distance on them while hipfiring them with the Pulse. And I found it works quite good against lightsaber users. I was kind of not really sure how I felt about Pulse versus SMG after they nerfed the Pulse, but with this Star Wars update, I feel like the Pulse has just been better for me against those lightsaber players. He's not going to get a lightsaber. I wonder what he drops for it. I would imagine the SMG. Like, you definitely still want heals. Heals is not the option. I'd say it's... Or he just got it to get it? I think they got it just to prevent somebody else from having the force abilities later. Because from my understanding with the lightsabers, if you get it, you get the force abilities. If you get it from the Jedi Master. But if you eliminate somebody and take their lightsaber or just find it on the ground, then you don't get the force ability. You won't get that rock stuff. Not really sure what this player is doing. They seem to be like really intent on playing like edge of zone and rotating, which can be good, but I just feel like for public matches, like it's really not that deep. But it is what it is. Like for comp, you would maybe want to like be the last out of the POI, but for solo pubs, I feel like it's just not that necessary. And I often get asked while making these videos why I mainly only do solos. I feel like solos is just the easiest mode to follow from like one player's perspective. But also the spectating is bugged. I did try to make the video in squads this week. And we had like, I had like a game that I was up to that point. I wasn't too satisfied with it. And then I was spectating a player. They got into a fight with another team. They got knocked and thirsted, but their teammates were still alive. Like they were the first person to die in that fight. And then it sent me to spectate somebody across the map, not involved in that fight at all. It's just like the spectating in team game modes gets messy, whereas like typically in solos, I feel like not only is it simpler to kind of lay out one player's actions and kind of what they could be doing differently and what they're doing well, but also like the spectating just makes following the team game modes kind of weird. This should be a kill. That's a just really decent engage. Not much that clone trooper could do. Like he was at such a damage deficit by the time the fight started. This is kind of an awkward fight. That's like a range where the pulse would be really good. I wouldn't use this slurp. I don't understand what they're thinking. They didn't even take any real damage. The only damage they had taken there was overshield. There is like kind of some value in maybe having it up while you're fighting because then you're regenerating HP. But I don't really think that's the biggest deal. They also might be of the opinion that they're like fighting for this island. And they're either going to get more slurps from that or they're going to be dead anyways. I think they're just dead here. Yeah, that was not it. I don't really understand. If you want to get up the island, the katana is much better than the ODM gear. Like that, the ODM gear is risky for that. One interesting thing is the lightsaber's double jump does prevent fall damage. I shot somebody out who was using ODM gear, and then they just swapped to the lightsaber and double jumped, and then they survived. I think there's another player on here. And that is one of the reasons why I prefer the ODM gear to the katana to the ODM gear, sorry. Not only does it just stop working when you get shot, but also like you potentially take fall damage. I like what I'm seeing out of this player already. They killed the player we were spectating. Oh no, there is another person. I was right. I thought there was. This is a good play. I actually like what I've seen a lot out of this player so far. They like did the SMG spray out of the twin mag to reset it. If you guys don't know, the twin mag reloads fast every other reload. So oftentimes if I'm not in a fight, but I'm on the slow reload, I'll waste a bullet or two and then do a reload again to get the quick reload. And then also the way that player got off the island was good because they jumped down and then fell a little bit and then katanaed. A lot of players would just katana from the island level itself, and then you would give this player the opportunity to beam you. I think they will kill this player on island. This player on island's kind of an interesting individual. The person they killed from fall damage has slurps. This is ballsy. There's slurps right next to them though, and the mythic pump. But that guy on island that's been beaming him, I feel like has just had like kind of the element of surprise over and over again. I think in an actual fight, the player we're spectating wins this. He's just very concerned about being max HP. And like, while yeah, it's ideal to be max HP, I don't know. I think he could have... I think he could have just taken that. Like, I don't know. The way that other person on island has been playing was just kind of weird. For some reason, they didn't take the mythic pump that was on the ground right there. They should have definitely seen it. They got the slurp out of that loot. Just fight them. You win this. I'm like very confident in the person we're spectating. Just katana onto them and go. You have a pump. This is your fight. GG. Told you. That gingerbread man was just playing so ratty that I just had no confidence in him in a close range fight. And then this default hits a gritty on him. I really hope he goes down there for that mythic pump though. You could drink this slurp right away. Nice. I feel like some people might be worried about saving it here, but he's probably going to capture the point. It's also a purple katana on that loot there. So this player has been... I enjoy what they're doing, but just like some of the looting has been odd. But a lot of their decisions in fights I agree with. Or just like kind of the way they move their character and the things they do, I feel like this player kind of knows what they're doing. Just kind of missing out on some loot, which I do a lot as well on stream sometimes, but it's different playing this game and being distracted with a bunch of things. But like the mythic to green pump would be such an upgrade, and then like that purple katana would also be very nice to have. Interesting. This is upsetting me. So they go for the Cobra DMR since they got the pulse rifle. I'm not sure how I feel about that because I don't know. That player is locking on him with a lock-on pistol. He also just took like 50 storm damage there. But I feel like the range where the Cobra DMR is better than the Red Eye. The Pulse Rifle is also very good and kind of that like close to medium range, but not quite like long range yet. And the person with the pistol is going to shoot him through the bush. This is actually not great. Yeah, that's just unfortunate. Took a lot of storm damage there for kind of nothing. And then, of course, the person that fried him has a lock-on pistol, which just like counters bush campers like that. That was like the perfect scenario for the person with the lock-on pistol. The Mega City boss was not eliminated. It would be risky to go for here, but those slurps would be really beneficial. Somebody's NPC is on the grind rail. Oh no, there's a player on him. Ooh, brothers are stressing me out. I actually like. I get asked this question a lot if I get like nervous playing or anything like that. Like not really, but I get more stressed or more nervous like watching these people play. Like it's more stressful when you're not in control. I feel like this should be a kill. I don't know. This is an AI, I think. Yeah, but had that been a real player, that would have been dicey. I didn't even hear them coming up the zip line. Okay, this makes a lot more sense to me. I think this is what they thought they were doing initially. What the heck? I did not see that player there. I saw the NPC, but I didn't see the player. They went up. This should be a kill. Nice, GG's. Please get the purple katana. What is he doing? But what I was going to say is that now he has Pulse Sniper. This makes a lot more sense to me than Pulse DMR. And I think this is what they thought they got when they were on Island. Like, I think they may have mistaken the DMR for a sniper in that moment. This isn't personally what I would run, but this makes a lot more sense to me than the other way around. And they could have a mythic pump with this. Had they picked it up earlier from the player we were initially spectating. There's 4 opponents remaining. He's got kind of his pickings here. Oh no, he canceled the med kit. There's a player down to his right, and then also there's some people fighting to his left. I think those people to the left were AI though, because they were fighting for way too long with close range weapons. And like typically the fights with close range weapons like go quick. Yeah, that's an AI, 100%. Valhalla 11, I think that is genuinely an AI name. Now he has this other player to his right. This mountain is like good for next zone. It's like a weird spot to be in because for next zone that mountain will be really good to have. But for the current zone, it's not that great because... Or maybe it wasn't an AI. They had a mythic pump. But it's not that great because of how much it could be shot in the back. But he gave it up here. Now that other player has that mountain. It's a 1v1v1. Zone goes into Mega, but I don't know how effective this building is going to be against the mountain. It might be good, but I'm not too familiar with like the line of sight these buildings have against that. Okay, he has an angle on it, but that other player can still just kind of play the terrain. Like, that guy in the mountain can just choose not to, like, peek this and not to die. But we'll see. Maybe when zone closes, they'll be forced to peek. But there's still another player out there. I do like how the player we're spectating played this, though. I might have stayed on that mountain, but going down for that loot was actually good. He got heals, and he got a better pump out of it, so I think that was worth. And then also, he rotated into this Mega City building immediately as it became playable. So he can assume there's nobody going to be up here with him or near him because he was like the first one to get into this part of zone. And when it's a 1v1v1 like this, just kind of having a spot of zone to yourself is really beneficial. Because a lot of the game in solos, or any game mode, if it's a 1v1v1 in solos, that'd be a 1v1v1. In duos, it'd be like 3 duos, and squads, 3 squads. A lot of it will come down to like the 2 parties that fight first. And then that third party kind of swoops in and takes it. So I do like the way he kind of played this. I would have chilled on the building and then maybe katana it off. To try to get ahead of zone maybe? I'm not really sure what they're doing. I am confusion. I feel like they just like went in a big circle to like be more exposed than they were previously, and now they have to go back to where they were. Maybe they were confused on where his zone was, like they thought it was going that way. But it's like going into the openness area. That's why I was saying I would have wanted to chill on the building still and then katana it off, because that player that's up there on the mountain, they don't have to rotate yet, but they might rotate early, and if they do, then you could snipe them and kill them. Like if that guy in the mountain is kind of antsy about it. It's in a bush, but I don't know how confident they feel in a bush considering they almost died in one earlier to the lock-on pistol. This is a good spot, though. I'm not sure how I feel about this. The guy on top is looking at him. That guy in the mountain was. It's a snipe. Okay, this is perfect, actually. Let's see what zone does. Oh, no. Katana, katana. Not that way. This player, I feel like, does not know where zone is a lot of times. This is sketchy. He might be able to get this kill. You gotta snipe. He has to snipe the other guy. Because the other guy's just gonna push. He should. Snipe them. I feel like you have to, like, even if he hits a body shot there, it alleviates some of this pressure. Because that guy that's, like, still alive, the final player, knows that the player he's fighting is weak. He went through him. Okay, good. But, I think just getting a body shot on this player would have neutralized some of that pressure. This player has 269 crowns. Nice. But it would have neutralized some of that pressure because then both people are weak, and then that guy is likely not to push. But if that guy just, like, runs at him, he gets a kill. The player we were spectating there was so weak. But that is going to be it for this spectating video. I hope you guys found this helpful, informative. We did end up spectating 2 good players. I think that high wire we spectated initially, I was liking a lot of what they were doing until they died to fall damage, and that player we were just on board with. They won the game, but they did kind of some questionable decisions end game, even though it worked out. But if you guys did enjoy this, give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.